Welcome to the Instagram Stories for Wednesday, November 12th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. There's tons of social media news to talk about today. The Threads team has rolled out an update to better feature podcasts on the platform. Additionally, there are some updates to the Edits app, including caption, bulk editor, lip sync, and reverse. We'll hear from Instagram's creator account talking about a new feature, monthly recaps, that lets you analyze your data from the past month and see how it did and where you can improve. We'll also hear from the head of Instagram talking about the ability to schedule trial reels, why you can't do it yet, and hopefully when it'll be available in the future. We'll also hear from Diego at the Buffer team, sharing some updates of new features that they're rolling out, all around helping you better respond to comments on multiple platforms. Good news, this feature is free and the data supports people responding to comments having better engagement across the board. We'll get into all of that, plus more on today's episode. We'll have Wednesday Waffle at the end, don't worry, but here's a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back. Let's start with the Threads news. The head of Threads, Connor Hayes, by the way, the head of Threads is not Adam Mosseri. He is only the head of Instagram. Connor has been promoted. The head of Threads, Connor Hayes, posted on Threads and podcasts. To drive even more conversations on Threads, we're introducing new features to help you discover shows and dive into discussions about them, starting with testing a fresh look for podcast links so they stand out on Threads. And then he gives an example of what it looks like for a specific podcast, and it's a graphical display of a link to Spotify that looks different. It's more eye-catching. It doesn't say anything about Apple Podcasts, only Spotify. Connor continues in the thread. It's been great connecting with podcasters to talk about what's next, and you can expect us to lean in here much more over the coming months. We'll start rolling this change out today, and it will make its way to everyone over the next couple of weeks. Drop your favorite podcast in the replies so we can all have a listen. I will link to this in the show notes so you can see what it looks like. I personally don't have this feature yet, but of course I will be using it. It's a little disappointing to me that it's featuring Spotify links directly. I don't listen to podcasts on Spotify because I prefer to use a separate podcast player. I know I'm not the only one. People use Apple Podcasts, many other different types of apps to listen to podcasts. So I think it should be more available across the board, but still nice to see this feature and hoping that Instagram picks up the ball and has a little bit more podcast integration over there as well. Since I brought up Instagram, there's a new feature in the professional dashboard showing you your monthly recap of analytics on the platform. Here is the @creators account featuring Natalie Park explaining this new feature on the professional dashboard.
There's no excuse to not be using your Instagram analytics to your advantage because Instagram just rolled out this new feature called Monthly Recap. Basically, they spell it all out for you. Your reach for the month, how consistent you were, what your performance was like in comparison to the previous month, your top performing posts, the times your audience was most active, and they even give you some inspiration for content to create the next month, all bundled and packaged up in your monthly recap. It is so important to understand what's going on with your content, what's performing, what's not, so you can level up your game the next month. You can find this all in your professional dashboard right under monthly recaps.
Okay, I'll link to this post in the show notes so that you can check it out for yourself, but definitely make sure your Instagram app is updated. Go into your profile and click on professional dashboard. You'll see this new monthly recap and it gives you a little slideshow of the past few months, which is really cool. Moving on, let's stick with the Instagram news. The head of Instagram explained the answer to the question, why is there not the ability to schedule trial reels? That would make sense. You might want a trial reel to go live tomorrow, for instance. Maybe it's something newsworthy, maybe it's a recap. Whatever reason you have, you should be able to schedule trial reels the way you can schedule any other reel or any other post.
That's actually a good idea. You should be able to schedule a trial reel. Generally speaking, when we launch new features like trials, we don't always work through all the different ways that we can extend that feature to the rest of the product. In this case, no one thought about connecting that to the ability to schedule a reel. So I'll talk to the team and we'll figure out if and when we can prioritize it. But it's definitely a good idea. Thanks.
Moving on, let's talk about some updates to the Edits app. The team posted today that they are launching some new requested features, including the ability to bulk edit your captions, put your videos in reverse, and use lip sync to bring your photos to life. Let's talk quickly about each one of these. First, lip sync is, I would say, the most potentially interesting one. If you take a photo, for instance, in the example screenshot, they used a picture of the Mona Lisa, added the picture, pushed the lip sync button, recorded some audio, And then you can see the Mona Lisa's mouth move in line with the audio clip that was just posted. Obviously, this is using AI. It's currently only available on iOS in the United States, but I think this is an interesting feature and especially one to get a little bit creative with. Additionally, the team has added the Captions Bulk Editor. If you've ever edited captions, you know you have to go line by line and watch the video multiple times in order to ensure that the captions are picked up correctly and transcribed correctly the way you want. However, the team has now added the ability to look at all the captions in the entire video at once, meaning that you can quickly find any mistakes or things that you want to change much more easily with less tapping. I am all for this. And the last new feature I'm going to talk about is the ability to reverse your clips easily within the Edits app. I am shocked that the app didn't have this already. The team also mentioned that they've added 400 more sound effects, so those will certainly help you be creative in the videos that you make. If you're not using the Edits app, it's free, definitely worth your time to experiment. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Renee Ritchie from the YouTube team is going to bust a myth about how long you should wait before you publish a video. Should you keep a video as private or unlisted for a certain amount of time and then make it public? Does that help? Also, Diego from the Buffer team shares an update that they've been working on and some data analytics about how important it is to reply to comments. Stick around. Welcome back. If you haven't heard me talk about Buffer on this show before, and I talk about Buffer a lot because I like their offering. I like the price point it's at. I like the flexibility that it provides. I like how it works. Everyone who I've met from the team so far has been fantastic to talk to. And they now have some new features that you need to know about. Here's Diego from the Buffer team to explain more.
Hi, I'm Diego Sanchez and I'm on the product team at Buffer. You've probably heard Daniel mention Buffer on the podcast before, and you might have heard from our team members Amanda and Kirsty who've been on the podcast as well. I've been at Buffer for 6 years, going on 7 years now, and I'm part of the product team focused on new product development. Today, we've got some new data that I'm excited to share, which helps explain how to increase engagement using replies. Our senior data scientist, Julian, analyzed more than 2 million posts across different networks and was able to conclude that replying regularly to comments, so creators that reply regularly to comments, saw an uplift of between 5 to 42% on engagement on their posts. This varies by channels. So for example, for channels like Facebook, the increase was 9% compared to those that don't reply regularly. For channels like Blue Sky, it was 5%, and for channels like LinkedIn, a whopping 30%. This research is part of our strategy at Buffer, where we're committed to helping small businesses and creators go from zero to building a habit and to seeing results on social. We know building a habit is really hard. You have to show up, post consistently, and sometimes you don't get a lot of views or sometimes you don't get any comments. We know this is difficult, and that's why we're committed to building the right tools to support creators and small businesses from going to zero to developing a habit and to seeing results on social. Our new feature that we're launching today, Community, is available for free and allows you to stay on top of comments across channels. We support more than 6 channels at the moment, with more to come. So please check it out on the show notes and make sure to follow us on X at Buffer for more information on the launch. Thank you very much.
If you are a Buffer user, absolutely look into this feature. And if you are not a Buffer user, it might be worth looking at giving at least a trial so you can experiment with these features and see how the entire platform works. All right, let's move on to our YouTube section. And here we're going to have Renee Ritchie, creative liaison on the YouTube team, bust the myth about whether or not you should keep your video as unlisted for 24 or 48 hours before making it public, so the YouTube algorithm has a chance to index it and see how it performs. That is not, in fact, how it all works. Here's Renee Ritchie to explain.
Should creators wait 24 to 48 hours before making a video public? I'm Renee Ritchie, a longtime creator working inside YouTube, and I got you. So the theory here seems to be that it takes YouTube's recommendation system, the algorithm, a day or two to understand your video. So if you upload the video and then wait those 1 or 2 extra days, when you finally do go live, the recommendation system will just do a much better job of putting your video in front of the right audience and you'll get more views. But that's not actually how it works. The recommendation system is largely based on audience behavior. So until your video goes live, not unlisted, not private, but actually public, there's no audience behavior data for it to understand or learn from. Now, if you're concerned your video might hit up against another system like copyright or ad-friendly guidelines, You can absolutely let checks finish and monetization status, the green or yellow icon status, come back before you press publish. But otherwise, waiting 24 to 48 hours is no different than waiting 24 to 48 seconds or weeks or months. All you're doing is waiting. Drop me your questions and get with the contenting.
So there you have it, direct from Renee. That is going to do it for the news section of today's episode. If you want to hear me do Wednesday Waffle, where I talk about another topic that may or may not be related to social media, stick around after the music.
I'm not yet a member of the Instagram team, but my podcast covers many Instagram themes. But the name, image, logos are trademarks of Instagram and the LCC in the USA and every territory. Everything I publish independently until Zuck returns my DMs and starts to pay my salary. Not sponsored or endorsed, no lies, no fallacies. I use their logo with permission, not malicious or callously. No trademark violation, filling all criteria. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Daniel Hill Media.
Oh, hey, thanks for sticking around to hear me talk about a topic that's a little bit different. So one of the things that you may have noticed is in the podcast, there are ads. And obviously that's how I earn revenue from doing this podcast. It takes me a few hours per week to do this podcast, to find the audio clips, to understand the topics, to digest the news, to sit down and record it, to edit it, post it, create show notes, and so forth. It's been really great to get some ad revenue as a result of working so hard on the podcast. I actually started this podcast consistently in November 2018. Back then I was doing it daily and I was trying to keep it to about 2 to 3 minutes per day. Since that time, 7 years have gone by, which is incredible. Although to be fair, a lot of them were during lockdown. And instead of doing a episode 5 to 6 times per week for 2 to 3 minutes per day, I now try for 3 times per week for 8 to 10 minutes per episode. One of the things I think has really been great though is the podcast ad agency that I've worked with called Big Pond. If you have a podcast or you're interested in transitioning your audience from the videos and content that you're creating on social and you would like to launch a podcast, I can absolutely recommend them. If you want me to make an introduction, I'll be happy to. They've really helped me to grow the show. They've helped me with monetization. It's been so key to the growth of this show, having Big Pond as a partner. If that's something you're ever interested in, you've been doing social, you've been doing video, you want to expand to a podcast, reach out to me. I'd love to make an intro. I'm sure they could help you as well. As always, thank you for listening and come back next time for more social media news and other content too.